How's it going, everybody? Landon here with LMR.com, and in this video I'm going to be checking out and installing QA1's carbon fiber drive shaft designed for the 2018 Mustang GTs with the 10R80 automatic transmission. This carbon fiber drive shaft from QA1 is going to appeal to the performance-minded Mustang enthusiast that is wanting to strengthen their driveline and reduce rotational mass. QA1's drive shaft is constructed from very strong and extremely lightweight carbon fiber and has an overall diameter of 3.5 inches. It features Spicer U-joints and also utilizes a high-speed CV joint. Combine all of those premium building materials together and you get a drive shaft that tips the scale at around 20.5 pounds and is SFI 43.1 certified. I'll touch base a little more on the weight differences after the install. A lighter drive shaft is going to allow the car to accelerate quicker because of the drop in rotational mass. Well, in layman's terms, the less mass the engine has to turn, the quicker it revs up. QA1 engineered this drive shaft with a 1,500 horsepower rating and a max rated torque of 1,000 pound-feet. That makes this drive shaft perfect for anyone that is still naturally aspirated or any of you that are already making big power out of your 2018 GT. In the box will be detailed instructions and all the needed installation hardware to properly install this drive shaft. Today we'll be showing you how to install the QA1 carbon fiber drive shaft into our 2018 Mustang GT. To begin the install, put the transmission in neutral and support the car via a lift or jack stands. Remove the two 13mm bolts securing the intermediate piping hangers to the IRS subframe. Moving to the muffler hangers, remove the upper 13mm retaining bolt. Do this for the other side. Remove the lower 13mm retaining bolts. Our 2018 Mustang does have a SVE Resonator Delete X pipe installed. The removal steps are the same for anyone that still has the factory Resonator. Support the piping with a jack. Loosen the nuts on the factory exhaust sleeves with a 15mm deep socket. Use a flathead screwdriver to pry back the tab on the sleeve. Lightly tap the sleeve with a hammer to move the sleeve past the small dowel on the downpipe. Go ahead and support each muffler and then lift up on the muffler hangers to remove them from the body. Do the same for the front hangers. With the assistance of a friend, slide the cat back out of the two sleeves and then you can remove it from the car. Loosen the clamp on the driver's side catalytic downpipe. Go ahead and remove the pipe. This will allow for additional workroom. With the car in neutral, locate the four drive shaft to transmission bolts. Loosen and remove each bolt with a 12-point 12mm socket. An electric or pneumatic impact will make removing these bolts a lot easier. Moving to the rear of the drive shaft, loosen and remove the six 10mm bolts securing the drive shaft to the pinion flange. Have a friend help hold the drive shaft. If you're working by yourself, be sure and support the front and rear of the drive shaft. Loosen and remove the two 13mm bolts securing the center bearing support. You can go ahead and remove the drive shaft from the car. Place the QA1 drive shaft on a workbench. Loosen and remove the six socket head bolts with an 8mm hex socket. When removing these bolts, make note of the color-coded dots. The colors will need to coincide with each other when these bolts are reinstalled. Remove the aluminum adapter from the drive shaft. Apply blue thread locker to the provided M10 by 35mm hex bolts. Ensure that the pinion flange is free of any debris or foreign material. Position the adapter into the pinion flange. Do not use excessive force. Align the bolt holes and then start each of the 6 bolts by hand. Then evenly snug down each bolt. To help with torquing the bolts, reinstall a section of the previously removed bolts or engage the emergency brake. Hold this section with a pry bar and torque each bolt to 47 pound-feet, working in a crisscross pattern. Of course, you will need to move the section of bolts in order to properly follow the torque sequence. If you did utilize a section of these bolts, be sure and remove them from the adapter. Now, apply blue thread locker to the 4 provided M12 hex bolts and the 6 bolts you removed at the beginning of the install. The 4 M12 bolts will secure the front of the drive shaft to the transmission. Align the front of the drive shaft with the transmission and loosely thread one of the bolts. Now, align the rear of the drive shaft with the marks on the aluminum adapter. The colors may differ from drive shaft to drive shaft. Start a section of bolts to hold the drive shaft in place. Ensure that you align the color-coded dots. Reinstall the other section of bolts with their respective colors as well. Install the other 3 frontward bolts and snug them down with a 10mm hex socket. Go ahead and torque each of these bolts in a crisscross pattern to 85 pound-feet. Use a pry bar or engage the emergency brake to help keep the drive shaft from rotating. Now snug down each of the rear bolts with an 8mm hex socket. Go ahead and torque each of these bolts in a crisscross pattern to 47 pound-feet. Again, use a pry bar in between the head of the bolts or engage the emergency brake to keep the drive shaft from rotating. With the rear suspension unloaded, measure the distance from the tube end to the CV joint. For this application, the recorded measurement should be in a range of 2.5 to 3 inches. Give everything a final once-over. At this time, you can reinstall your exhaust, and then you're all finished. Wrapping everything up here, guys, this drive shaft is definitely a high-quality piece. I mean, honestly, it almost looks too good to put on the car. In terms of weight differences, the factory drive shaft tipped the scale at 29.5 pounds. Take the 20.5 pounds that the QA1 drive shaft weighed, do the math, and you get a rotational weight savings of 9 pounds. Now, the general rule of thumb is that 10 pounds of rotational weight is good for 1/10 of a second, down to 1320. To see more how-to and review videos covering industry-leading products, be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this video, and don't forget to turn on notifications. While you're at it, be sure and check out our other videos, and don't forget to shop lmr.com for all things 1979 to present Mustang, and of course, SVT lighting.